How many of you are involved as educators that are here? All right. How many work with the MROs? Motorcycle rights organizations, ABATE, TMRA, any of them? All right, good. And I know some of you here work with government, right? See your hands. All right. Anybody here who just rides and isn't involved with any of those things? All right. Well, you've heard about what we've done with TMSC. Jude was talking about what we're doing. Now what I'd like to do is just touch real quick, because I know everybody's got to get out of here, on some of the stuff that we are doing and working on now. We're looking forward. Okay, the TMSC, as we mentioned, serves as kind of a public forum, a clearinghouse for addressing strategies to improve motorcycle safety in Texas. Now, beyond the legislative issues that Jude talked about, we have identified other areas of mutual concerns to all motorcyclists in the Lone Star State. I like to think of it as kind of like a motorcycling UN. You know how well they get along? Well, still, somehow they manage to come together and get things done. And that's really what we're trying to do. It's a place where opposing groups, disparate views can all air their specific concerns, and where everybody can come to a consensus, hopefully, on the path to progression. Now, to that end, and since the last forum, we've identified and done preliminary investigation and work on a few things. Number one, finding a way to ensure riders in the state of Texas get their M endorsement. Now, we've heard a lot about this today. The most current data shows nearly 40% of those riding bikes in Texas do so dirty. That's what you call it, riding dirty. Well, enforcement efforts vary by jurisdiction, branch, and location throughout the state. It just doesn't seem to be a very important enforcement target. The HURT study indicated that unlicensed riders are disproportionately involved in crashes, and the costs involved are not inconsequential. You got insurance. Most of you probably know that if you don't have an M and you do have a claim, well, chances are better than average you're not going to get any money. The insurance companies love to take your money. They don't like giving it back. And if you've never actively looked at a policy and saw an illegal and criminal act clause, you might want to look at it. Simply states that if your claim happens as a result of something committed during the commission of a criminal or illegal act, they may not pay. And may is a permissive. It is not a might or might not. So, if your bike is stolen while you're sitting at home, it's out in the driveway, you're probably going to get covered. If you're riding and you run into a van full of kids, or worse, somebody runs into you and you go to make a claim, no. That's a big deal. And it bothers a lot of us that are involved in motorcycle safety training. I mean, you often hear people say, big deal, I don't have an M. So what? It's a $50 ticket if it's anything. Yeah, well, let me give you a personal story. I had an assistant, 35-year rider, fantastic rider, trained, full gear, all the time, who was riding home from work one day, minding his own business on the Gulf Freeway in Houston, if you can do that. And right around Dixie Farm Road, a black pickup truck came flying across 3 lanes of traffic, clipped the front of Rick's bike, put him down. He was laying there, 5 broken ribs, punctured lung, broken hip, had his helmet on, but he was dazed, although he was still conscious, and his left leg between the knee and the ankle was broken in 4 places, not cracked, broken. The guy got out of his truck, walked over. Rick was able to see but not move. Did one of these, got back in his truck and left. Now, he was a lucky guy, because the next driver who came up on him was an EMT. Called Life Flight, got him to the hospital, And what followed was nearly 2 years of operations, physical therapy, medications. His total medical bills to date are $3.5 million. Now, Rick was lucky. He was licensed. He had good insurance because despite putting out a $25,000 reward, we never, ever, ever were able to get any information on the guy that hit him. The only description we had was it was a guy of medium build with dark hair driving a black pickup truck. And I would bet you there's at least 3 of those in Houston. So the bottom line is we got to figure out a way to help. I can't think of anything that's more important than getting the word out about that and letting people know that they're placing not just, a few weeks off from work or a couple $100 out of their checking account. They may lose everything. $3.5 million, you think about that. Now, do you know what happens when you go into a hospital and you don't have insurance coverage? They have to, by law, help you. But they're going to get that money somehow. And it might come out of your kid's college fund, your house, your possessions, your spouse's income, or any future earnings that you have. So we're going to see what we can do about this. Now, suggestions and things we've looked at currently include working with agencies to ensure enforcement is consistent and to educate those in the field of the cost to riders, the state, when unlicensed riders are sent on their way with a wrist slap or less. And by the way, to Ken, I'm looking forward to that NHTSA study due this year on this. Along with that, we concurred on the need to get a PSA made to this regard, to put out there on TV or online. This would be something for the Biker Communication Network, maybe to put out to its members. And along with the licensing, we know that drinking and riding is a huge problem. In Texas, it's a cause of, as Melissa showed you, a disproportionate number of crashes. To that end, at our December 11th meeting, it was suggested that we examine the possibilities of training for the law enforcement officers to be able to improve awareness of riders who are under the influence of alcohol or other substances. We have to add that in there now also. Just like Ken talked about on a national level, we want to do this on a Lone Star state level. Sound like stuff you can agree with? How many of you are members of the TMSC? Okay, the rest of you, look out at the room. Not that many. Wouldn't it be great if we could get all the hands up and really do something about this? Remember, this is a networking deal. The more people we can get involved in this, the better it's going to be and the more resultful we can be. So with that in mind, come to a meeting, look at looklearnlive.org, okay? Come on out, contribute, make the effort. You'll be welcome, I assure you. Okay? Jude, Melissa, thank you.